Welcome to Still with Purpose. This is Amanda and Christy.
Our goal is to dig deep and discuss real, raw subjects in pursuit of greater self-awareness, positive transformation and healing, and to link arms and journey with you to find purpose and passion in life. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we're talking about the question, what if your confusion, exhaustion, and doubt aren't signs of weakness? They're symptoms of what you are consuming.
Here's the quote for that. Every habit, every word, every choice I make is shaped by the books I open, the voices I listen to, and the thoughts I allow. We're going to unpack this one for you guys today. It's a personal favorite because I absolutely am affected by the world and how it comes into my space as a creative. If I want to go on a downward spiral, I know exactly what to do. And it's binge watch dating shows or things that are missing in my life so that I can reiterate to myself over and over, you don't have this still, or music or movies. If I want to be depressed, I know exactly what to look at. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, especially music. Music can totally set your mood or feed into the mood and make it even more so.
Absolutely. Some of my favorite music is string guitar and a good beat, but love songs are just so good and they're so bad for my heart. It just gets me on the trajectory of sadness. And then I just have to switch to praise and worship or dance music and have a little dance off in my living room or something that changes where I'm sitting so that I can go ahead and move out of the downward spiral that I've chosen.
I really love anything that's instrumental, that's more spiritual in nature, really sets that mood of introspection and reflection and calm. If I'm feeling blue about any personal situations, there are definitely certain artists and certain songs and certain albums that can feed into the more negative moods.
And it's because we have memories attached to them. So that song is attached to this memory. Was it a good memory? We don't know. That's why it gets a response out of you. It's a for real trigger. And I don't think people understand that. Even this is insane, but I had two of my favorite praise and worship songs played at my last wedding. My 450th wedding. And those are my favorite praise and worship songs, but you better believe they trigger me now because I can picture me walking down the aisle. I can picture washing his feet and it's like, ugh. And God, like I was doing it as my love offering to God in general in taking care of this man's heart. But I digress. We're talking about something completely different today. But hands down, if you don't like yourself, you have to dissect what you are consuming daily. If you're depressed, you have to look at what you're consuming daily. What you put in, you get out. What you feed grows, and what you starve dies. So look at it all. You're in charge of what is coming into your mind, your eyes, your ears, your brain, your spirituality, your energy. You're in charge of it all. Those are all choices that you're making, just like working out. You can work out and keep your body fit, or you cannot work out and have consequences of that.
Well, and then to take it a step further, not only are we in control of what we're letting into our minds, we are in control of then the thoughts that we think. So we've talked before about how the Bible commands us to take our thoughts captive and to put our minds on things above in heaven versus earthly, worldly things. So whatever we let into our minds then also turns into our thoughts, and we're in charge of both.
And the thoughts are what create suffering.
Or joy.
Or joy. So we pray possibly, I'm depressed, Lord, help me. I'm in such depression, but I'm going to go ahead and watch these 5 movies that depress me and make me angry at the world or see the world in a negative light and people in a negative light and love in a negative light. And why am I depressed? And now I'm going to go eat all this junk food along with those 5 movies. And now I'm going to lay in bed for 3 days. It's just, I say the swirling of the toilet bowl. And it's all all of our choices. I'm not saying medically and chemically brain wise that you might not need something to help your brain past depression. I'm not saying counseling and coaching and praying obviously is a huge piece of it too, but what can you control and work on the things you can control and then look at what else needs to be applied here, because I still need to shift one more thing. But are you taking away all the top surface stuff that is adding to the depression or adding to what's going on for you?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the victim mentality, and it might be easy to say, oh, well, I was influenced by this that I saw or that I heard, without taking responsibility that, well, you're the gatekeeper for what you see and hear. And now I know in some circumstances, maybe you turn on a TV and you see the news and you just can't control it. So I'm not saying in every instance, but more times than not, we're the ones that gatekeep what comes into our minds or that our eyes see or our ears hear.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we like to talk openly, like what's going on in our lives. But when we give examples, it might come across as judgmental, but just take it as an idea or a thought. But I've been in houses where the TV is on 24/7. And I actually don't even like the sound of a TV in the background. Sometimes when I'm designing an album online, let's say, I just designed my last year in an album. It was 110 pages. So I need that after, several hours, I need something in the background besides what's going on in my brain. But then I'll watch a movie or something. But TV 24/7, just how can you not see that affecting you in a negative way? You are allowing other people's voices to speak their truths all day long to you in a subconscious way almost, because you are not really checked into all the content. I would take even seriously what you're falling asleep to, because I've fallen asleep to movies and woken up very agitated. And I'm like, oh, this movie is horrendous. Why did I leave this on? Why I fell asleep? Now you're really allowing your mind to open up and receive complete trash sometimes.
I think the people who like to have that constant noise in the background from a TV maybe should think about getting quiet. And are you using things like TV as a distraction away from the quiet for whatever reason?
I would say that's 100%. I know in the past when I'm in such turmoil and stress, well, I'm a sleeper. I'll go sleep. I don't emotionally eat. I don't have vices like alcohol and drugs. I just go to sleep, which I'm not saying is better because I'm still numbing out. That's my form of numbing out. But if I'm fully awake, I will absolutely have something distract my mind from thinking about all the stuff that's going on and the suffering that I'm creating internally. So therefore, I see it almost as a positive. And if you really want to combat it, put on praise and worship, because it's getting your mind totally focused on God. And therefore, none of the chaos can actually stay around in that environment. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If you can see the world from a spiritual aspect, what you're allowing in is greatly affecting you.
Well, we talked last week about being vulnerable with other people. There's also being vulnerable with yourself. Yeah. Really allowing yourself to put a barrier up against all the distractions, and that quiet time or the time spent with God to grow your relationship is something to look at. Yeah. Are you getting to a vulnerable place with yourself and with God even?
Yeah. Get quiet and sit with it. Don't numb it out. Feel it, sit with it, and then walk through it. Mm-hmm. Not around it. You got to walk through it, whatever it is. And that's where healing comes at a quicker rate. That's what I found anyway. So look at all of it. So mentally, the sentence, I feel confused, maybe because you have so much input from other sources, it's killing your discernment level, basically, in your decision making. Or the sentence, I feel exhausted. All the things you are exhausted about are things you have chosen to do, like we said, what you're consuming food-wise, what you're creating, are you exercising, and what trash is going in. Protecting your mental space isn't isolation, it's stewardship. It's making boundaries and choices that's protecting your vessel and what comes into it. Spiritually, I don't believe in God or a higher source. What are you consuming that has put lighter fluid on your possibly false take on what has happened to you? Are you mad at God, or are you mad at a human, and maybe a human that professes God? Are you mad he isn't answering your prayers, but yet you have no relationship with him? Or the sentence, I've been hurt by Christians. Yes, we all have. I always laugh when people say they don't like church because of hypocrites. Yes, the church is a hospital for those that are attempting to not be a complete selfish a-hole and leave a legacy of love over hate. Christians are everyday humans trying to grasp onto the hope of being healed and whole, a lifetime journey. Who do you think the enemy is going to fight against harder to expose than a Christian or someone that's professing a faith level in some kind? Who do you think the enemy is going to fight against harder to expose? The human choosing to try and heal and have a belief in the Creator, or the person that has no belief and is bought into the idea of they don't need to heal a thing? Who would you expose more? Probably the person that's trying to heal. Who is more of a threat to the one that wants to kill, steal, and destroy?
Yeah, so Satan's going to throw difficult situations in front of Christians all day long, and Christians are still human, so they're going to make mistakes. So if you're mad at the church because of Christians who have made mistakes, just understand they're under the same, if not more, fire from evil influences than everyone else.
Yeah, and the whole hypocrisy is the enemy's plan because it dismantles trust in that human. Oh, they're a total hypocrite. Therefore, I can't listen to anything else that comes out of that person's mouth. Well, don't listen to our podcast then, because we are both complete hypocrites and toiling through our own personal lives right now in front of you.
But better yet, listen to our plea in that you take everything back to God.
Yeah.
Whether it's what we say or what you hear who you've deemed a hypocrite saying, take it all back to God. That's your litmus test, not anything any human says or does.
Yeah, if there's the expectation that perfection needs to be held, there's not one person on this earth that can rise to that occasion.
Right.
So you're already setting yourself up to never believe or take in feedback or grow or learn from another human, because they will disappoint you. So just take that off the table. There's so many examples in the Bible. Murderers, adulterers, a lot of bad choices end up being some of God's biggest speakers of who he is and how to live a life worthy of his calling, and end up having flourishing, awesome testimonies. But they also were an adulterer or a murderer.
One of the stories of adultery in the Bible, it was, okay, well, if any man hasn't sinned, let you cast the first stone. None of us would be eligible to do that.
Yeah, they all walked away and were like, I'm good.
Yeah, not me.
Especially because the one saying that actually knows all of their sin too. So it's like, I'm good. I don't actually need you to expose the sin. I'm good.
Yeah. Something else that you said a second ago, protecting your mental space, is stewardship. It's not isolation. As this new year turned over, we talked about our goals and following through with things that serve your goals and the talents and gifts that God gave you. So that's part of stewardship in your mental space. What you feel like God's calling you to do, what your purpose is, how you should be using your talents and your gifts, and anything that you're allowing into your mental space that doesn't support those things, that's stewardship by not allowing it.
Yeah. Bottom line, it does go back to your crappy core belief. Because if your crappy core belief is, I'm not worthy of anyone's time, I'm not worthy of being fought for or loved and valued, all the stuff that you let infiltrate your vessel will back up that ultimate belief. The friends, the job, the spouse, everything you choose is going to back up that belief. So yes, this is a big subject and it really matters. You can't expect spiritual strength if your daily diet is entertainment, gossip, and anxiety-fueled content, period. So what about emotionally? I will never be enough. What you put into your soul around this sentence will make or break you. If you feed this theory with what you listen to, read, and watch, you are definitely going to keep up this lie. No one can change this one. No one can change whether you're worthy or not. This is solely up to you.
And let's just be clear, we are all worthy because God has gifted us salvation and gifted us mercy. Now, we aren't worthy on our own accord, but he's made it so that we all can say, yes, I am enough. God accepts me for who I am as long as I come humbly.
Yeah, like the Bible characters we were talking about, the adulterer, the murderer, they eventually repented and came to a very humbled place, no doubt, and said, I don't want this to be my legacy. I need your help. Help me move past my unworthiness that created this trail of devastation. How can I be different? Instead of accepting this as my scarlet letter and labeling me as this is who I am, I please beg you to change me so that I can actually leave a legacy that's way bolder and more powerful.
Yeah.
And you don't think God's not going to get behind that? I mean, he's so sad that we chose all the things that devastated our heart, and created suffering. He's not going to save us from suffering. We absolutely will suffer in this lifetime. And we've talked about this before. Suffering is where you gain a very strong relationship with God because you're in such a humble place.
Well, and it's typically because you put yourself there, not because God has. So you come to realize,
yeah,
I need to rely on God.
Yep, that quote, I'm exactly here today because of all my choices, is so horrible of a quote to our ego.
Horribly true.
Horribly true. And our ego just goes, ooh. You can't say that's a false statement. I am exactly here today because of all my choices. And most importantly, I chose to believe my crappy core belief for 40 years. And I chose all the content to come in and infiltrate this vessel and back up my core belief. So this is where I'm at. This is my life based on those choices. This is so powerful if you can get your head around this, because at some point you will get so angry, like turn the rage and anger toward all the joy that's been stolen out of your life because you've chosen a shame-filled existence. I mean, haven't you had that experience when you have removed the shame?
Yeah. I mean, when the shame is no longer there, when you've just said, I'm a sinner and I've done wrong, and these are all the things that I have done that I regret in my life, and I'm not trying to hide them. I'm a human, and God, please just forgive me, and I repent, and then the shame goes away. Then you're able to focus on the joy, and you're able to, like we're talking about, bring things in that help you grow the joyful things. But if you're stuck in that shame, or, like when I was rug sweeping and not paying attention or not facing situations or things that would make me feel shame, then you're kind of just allowing anything and everything in because you're ignoring on purpose, even addressing what may or may not cause pain or shame or joy.
Or you're feeding, I'm a loser, I'm not a good person. You're feeding that.
Yeah.
So therefore, of course, you would be open to anything and everything. That's pretty scary. And ultimately, you've let so much in at some point where you're not even open to good because I'm not worthy of good. And again, these are all of our choices. We got ourselves to the point where we felt like we weren't worthy of anything good. And I've told you in the past, you cannot talk someone out of that stance. If that is their true core belief inside their beingness, I cannot love them, savior complex, love them into healing or into belief that they are not that person.
Yeah, that's very true. We've also talked about how not making a choice is making a choice.
Yeah.
So if you're just kind of willy-nilly living, in your shame and not deciding that, hey, I want to grow and I want to face my shame and I want to heal, you're making a choice not to do those things then. And if you know where you're going and you're clear on what you want, then you're able to be more discerning in what you let into your life. But if you're not clear on that, then it's easy to just be bombarded with anything and everything.
And I think you mean, instead of clear, committed. If you're not committed to being a fully healed, whole woman, then you will allow all the crap.
Yeah. Because if you're not committed to that, then you're committed to not that.
You're committed to the crap.
Yeah.
You cannot be in a state of unworthiness and also be striving for the biggest dreams of your life. That's a double-minded man.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're double-minded, nothing is successful. And people toil around it for years. I know in my past, when I've taken huge risks, I've had to be fully committed that this will work until And I'm in that state right now with a bunch of my projects. I don't necessarily see the success as far as financial dollars, but I see the success emotionally and spiritually. And therefore, I will keep going until. And that's how committed I am. And you better believe there will be results because I will not quit until. And like you're saying, if I'm half assing it, you say it sweeter, you say willy nilly. But yeah, if I'm going to half ass my life, I will get that as a result.
Right.
But basically, most people don't realize how subtly they're being shaped. Every podcast, song, scroll on social media is training your beliefs. It's backing up your belief system. If you don't intentionally choose your influences, the world will do it for you. Are you numbing your conviction by surrounding yourself with voices that validate mediocrity or fear? Is your inner circle feeding who you are created to be and your gifting or reinforcing your past? It may be time to switch out some people and mute their voices. Your habits, language, and attitude are mirrors of your inputs.
Everything that you just said is so true. But the other thing is, I think it's important for us to remember there's got to be a time where we stop it all. We stop it all and we unplug from the world. And not only do we choose the ones that we let in, but we also choose to make time where there are no other influences except for God. That's important.
Yeah, interesting you say that because I did a 30-day fast off social media last year. And I mean, first of all, that's going from a major addiction. Not only do I run businesses on social media, but I got used to posting 4 videos a day on TikTok for a very long time. To get off all of that and just have a few announcements a month, I wasn't sure how that was going to go. And I absolutely needed to do it because it had become such an idol in a lot of ways of what I was feeding in my beingness that wasn't serving me. So I was completely unhappy in most areas of my life. I was pining away for a relationship that was not happening and I was depressed. So therefore, what needs to happen? I need to go ahead and cut off all social media that's coming in. And man, I'm not kidding. The stuff I got done, the choices I made the several months after were so grounded because I didn't have all this confusion going on. I'm talking big lifetime decisions and choices and things that I walked away from, but yet I was so grounded in the decision because I didn't have any of this chaos running the show. I had just me and God and a lot of alone time. And man, I questioned if I was crazy, isolated, no friends. You know, I went through all the negative takes on it too, but ultimately it catapulted me into a goal setter and achiever. It created so much space for me to accomplish so much in so little time.
You removed a lot of confusion and a lot of distraction. So you were able to get clear on what you were hearing from God, what you were feeling in your heart without all the noise.
I removed all the suffering that I was feeling around all the subjects. I removed the reasons that were creating depression, the reasons that were creating lack in me as a woman, as a human, as a person that had gifts and talents. I removed all the voices that spoke into me that I was not good enough, that I didn't have what it takes. And it was a game changer. Funny enough, the second I went back on, the very first post I saw was a post that had my jaw on the floor. And if you don't think the enemy uses social media to put you in a bad place for a while, you're wrong. It absolutely is being utilized to create fear, suffering, and pain. Sure enough, the day I turned back on my social media, I was immediately blasted with the one intricate message that could be on my feed that would just put me in a negative space again around things that I was going through or hoping for.
A good reminder as to why you got off of it for a while.
Yeah, we've said this before. You guys are in control of your social media. You're in control of what you're watching. 3 seconds of any content will feed more of that content. If you're going to feed into negative content, you will be blasted with negative content. And what would you say it lasts? I personally have found that it lasts about a month to get back out of that content.
Oh, I don't know. I think it hangs around forever.
Yeah, it comes back.
Yeah.
It follows what you like.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking at it, you must like it.
That's right. What your interests are, your propensity to buy something based on your other purchases. The fact that you're buying kids' clothes here, are you then going to be looking at schools over here? Just just how they kind of cross relate.
Yeah, you're looking at baby clothes. Oh, she must be pregnant. Let's go ahead. Let's feed her all the things that you need as a pregnant person. No, I'm not pregnant, by the way.
Or the content, like somebody's advice, and it may not be great advice, but that's now coming into your mental space.
So super powerful, and take it very seriously.
You mentioned it was an addiction. So I'm reading the book by Charlie Kirk right now. It's called Stop in the Name of God. And it's really all about honoring the Sabbath and how we all need a break. But there's a lot of facts in there about social media, and we're addicted to our phones. And it's a constant scroll, and it's really dopamine hit after dopamine hit. And the creators took learnings from slot machines in casinos, how to keep people engaged and going for that hit, the very next one, and how we're all addicted. And for the first time, it's now just accepted that our form of substance is in all of our pockets, readily available. And it's not frowned upon. It's not looked weirdly at when you pull out your substance of addiction and you engage with it. We all do it all the time. And so it's just wild how free our culture is now okaying and condoning that.
Yeah, that's a powerful example. We actually have our numbing mechanism in our hand at all times. Doesn't have to be a bottle of liquor, doesn't have to be binge watching television or whatever else people use.
And it's also no longer our craving that makes us pull it out and engage with it. It's also in our pocket and buzzing or dinging, getting our attention.
Yeah, a very powerful thing to think about. It's done in such a way that we are checked out. Remember, like 10 years ago, we would be so offended watching a family all on their phones. They're not even relating to each other. We're all doing that now. There's not one human that's not checked out on their phone at some point.
Yeah, just normalized. But going back to what we're saying, we choose if that's the case for us or not.
Yeah. So just like wanting to, stop drinking, and you've experienced this in the past, you had to make some drastic actions. You had to change a lot of stuff in order to bring that back towards the center of like a healthy space. And that's what I would attribute to my social media fast was I have to make such a drastic change because this is out of hand and it's controlling me and it's controlling my personality and my content and creativity and my output. So my input is creating my output, and now I got to change the input because it's not great output. Hopefully this encourages you to look at some things that are going on that are normalized in your life and make a choice around it. It doesn't have to be forever. It's a boundary that you're trying to put in place. Personally, I think 30 days or more is important because it becomes a habit and you're breaking a habit.
Yeah, good rule of thumb. Well, as you're thinking about that, how about some additional reflection questions to journal on this week? The first one is, what voices am I letting shape my thoughts, my worth, and my beliefs? And also, where do I need to detox, mentally, spiritually, or emotionally? And lastly, if I only consumed what fed my purpose this week, what would change first?
That's a solid question.
Yeah. I mean, it really goes back to what am I focused on and weeding out everything else that's not in support of that.
Yeah. I saw a quote recently that said, if you can ask the question every time, does this help me get to where I want to go? Then say no if it doesn't. That's standing in your worthiness and being so grounded in what you're doing that, like you said, the obstacles have fallen away. This is what I'm doing. I will not stop until it's complete.
Yeah, committed.
So hope you guys get inspired to have a committed and purposeful action this week.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us today. We know your time is valuable and we hope you have a phenomenal week.
Until our next episode, find more content and social links at stillwithpurpose.com.